Can you hear? Can you hear the fan that's behind me? Is that gonna come across in the recording? Are people gonna hate me? Maybe. Okay, he's taking his headphones off. He's putting his headphones back on.
No. I think that's Ellie putting. I heard a slight, very very light. That's Ellie in putting water in the tub.
Ah, gonna take a nice podcast bath. Okay, good because
Yeah.
I am. I have a laptop right here, which I guess you could actually see because it's in frame. That is mining Ethereum. So I just said that the fan is loud. So but like I think I fixed the mic settings. I don't.
How much money a day are you making that? Let's say F. Let's just say F is at 4,000 and F. How much money a day are you making off of that mining?
Well, this hash rate is 53 mega hashes per second. So
Don't know what any of that means.
so if I just do some quick, whoops, open Google. If I just do some quick math on that, and if I go to what to mine, and then if I go let's just say like 60 mega hashes, we're looking at like $5 a day.
Okay. And so if it doubles in price, it'll be $10 today. Okay.
Yeah, and keep in mind
the flippening. If it does the flippening,
keep in
then
mind
you're making $50 a day.
is
What's going on?
but is that really gonna happen? It's not really gonna happen. I should probably buy more. I should buy more Ethereum just in case, shouldn't I? I should really go buy more
It
Ethereum.
did go down. I last time we had this conversation, I'm not sure if we had it on the podcast.
We had it
or not,
after
but
the podcast because
after the podcast, I was going to sell. Right, we're having the conversation. I was like, I think I'm gonna sell because I just pretty much doubled my money, and buy back in again when it goes down. And then I didn't do it that night, and then it dropped back. I think it dropped the next morning.
it did because you and I were having a conversation. So last week the
If I
podcast
just
ends.
stayed up for one more day, I would have pulled the trigger the next day. Because the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. Like I doubled my money. I'm sure it'll go back down eventually. God, Jesus.
Yeah.
It was a gut thing. Why didn't I listen to my gut?
I don't talk much about crypto on the show because I mean Zai already has a whole podcast. We don't have to, right? But like
Yes, and people who do not have crypto find it insufferable.
It
Even
is,
people
right?
Who do have crypto find it insufferable. Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
I think that it's not a good thing to bring up unless you're like know that you're in company who likes cryptocurrency because even as someone who does, I make fun of other people who talk about it. So like we
Yes.
do a very niche thing, but I feel like talking about crypto is a bridge too far. So that's why we saved it for an after show thing. I just wanted to I guess shame myself because I am using my parents' electricity. I'm using my
I was going to
parents'
say
electricity.
you're making $5 a day, but you're costing them $1 a day in electricity.
Ish, maybe, probably. It's fine. I do a lot for them. Okay, I do
You
so much for my parents. I do so much for my parents. Let me just pontificate about how much of a great son I am. I can't think of a lot of examples, but I promise you.
You helped change the brakes last night.
That's true. We were gonna do a show last night and get out of the way a little bit earlier. We were trying to do some pre-production, and I got caught changing the brakes on two different cars. So I don't know. Is mechanical talk also insufferable? Because boy, let me tell you, I sure love when you get a new set of rotors on cars because you get to use that brake cleaner, make sure you get all the oil off of them, and then it smells so good. It's like drugs. How
I'm sure it has been used as drugs at some point in time.
It
yes.
almost certainly has. I did brakes last night, pretty late. And how do you feel about moderate to loud noises outside after hours? Because my dad and I very much differ on this. So we were
Okay.
using an impact driver to take off lug nuts with a gun instead of a lug nut wrench. Now lug nut wrench, you ever taken the tires off a car and you've done it yourself? Pretty quiet. It's a wrench. Wrenches aren't that loud.
Yeah.
Impact guns that take off lug nuts, very loud. And
They're the ones that make the clicking noise.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know
Loud.
what you're talking about.
We were having this debate where he's like, oh no, let's just use the gun. And I'm like, no, I'll get the wrench out of the car, Dad. It's 11 o'clock. Like I think we live in a residential area. I think our neighbors are probably sleeping or like going to be upset. And he's like, fuck them. So like,
Your dad sounds great.
am I being too nice? Is he being too callous? Is there really a middle ground? I think that I woke up like at least two people around me yesterday deciding to change brakes at midnight.
I while I am, again, we've had this conversation, millennials, Generation X, what all that, about like how we're really nice to service people and stuff like that. I don't know why that it just seems to be a trend with our generation. I aspire to be that level of fuck 'em sometimes, because I think I am more like you in the fact that I am hyper aware of what other people do or think about the things that I'm doing, and I aspire to be able to at times when it's the right time to do it, be like fuck them. I'm not sure if that was probably the right time to be like fuck them. I mean, your neighbors are like kind of important in some way.
I guess some of them are shitty.
Do unto others, as you would have them do unto you and all that jazz.
So I had another moment yesterday of being with my parents and like feeling empathy for other people. So I sometimes let me show you a peek behind the curtain. Sometimes on the show, I'll like practice telling a story, or I'll think about how I want to tell a story, like either in the shower or like leading up to a recording, because what that does is means that I'm not going to sound like an idiot or tell something that is probably like super boring live, right?
Yeah.
I have not thought about this before, so I have no idea if this is even close to something that's mildly entertaining, but I'm going to go for it. Because it is a dovetail of what we were talking about. I went to dinner with my parents last night. Something that we don't do a lot because we're still not going out to eat a lot. Also, we have like varying different palates of what we want to eat, and it's like it's whatever. But anytime that we can go share a meal, like I mean, please, just spend time with your loved ones, right? We went. My mom has to eat dinner early. She's an early dinner person. Otherwise she gets like heartburn and she can't sleep and her stomach doesn't feel well. So you know how like early bird specials are at like 5 p.m.? I get to go to a lot of early bird specials. A lot. I'm someone who for most of their life was used to having dinner be at like 5:30.
I think it's better for you that way, right?
I think so too. I think that you're not really, I'm not a doctor, I think you're not really supposed to eat close to going to bed because that like really turns calories into fat because it's just storing.
Yeah, and there's also the very obvious like when you wake up in the morning you're not necessarily hungry despite not having eaten for like 9-12 hours. Like you can maintain that fast for a while, right?
Yep.
So leads to, that's probably not good for weight general issues. Like I'm trying to do one meal a day, and it's like I can't really do one meal a day, but I could cut it down to like 4 hours, have like a lunch and a dinner back to back.
How are you, but when you do that, do you do like one decent sized meal?
If I only do one meal, then yes. If I do two meals, then I usually try and keep it a little bit lighter for lunch and dinner. But the most important thing is just getting them close together. For me anyway, because I have a tendency to want to overeat, but if I eat back to back, then I don't obviously eat as much because I'm not hungry.
Well, we had to go out to an early dinner. People were already complaining, that people being my mother, because I was delaying the going of dinner because I wanted to take a shower because I worked out because I smelled bad because I haven't taken a shower in like a day and a half, and I'm like, oh, if I'm gonna go eat, I should probably take a shower. We finally leave. We finally go out to get dinner. This time it's like closer to 6:30. We roll up to the place and they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be like a 45-minute wait. And I can see her just look back at me with piercing eyes and be like, this is your fault. This is your fault, you cock. How could you make us late to dinner? We're not going to get a table until 7 something. But we're like in a shopping center. It's like relatively new. There's other places to go eat. And I'm just like, and on the way to the first restaurant, there was a second restaurant that my mom's like, oh, I want to try that place sometime. So I go, I look at the menu, and I'm like, at the second place, it was a pizza place, like a deep dish pizza place. And I'm like, oh, like, they have tables open. They can come seat us now. And she's like, oh, well, your dad really wanted to go to this place. And my parents do, the most infuriating thing that my parents do is that they blame each other for their decisions. So in this instance, and I'm convinced that this is just like a parental thing. They blame each other for each other's decisions. So my dad wanted to go to this first restaurant. It had a 45-minute wait. My mom was very hungry, did not want to wait. But she doesn't want to go to the second restaurant, even though my dad is like, I don't care about the first restaurant anymore. Let's just go eat now. But she's like, no, you want the first one. And he's like, no, but you want to eat now. So now all of a sudden they're arguing against their initial positions to try and like be nice, I guess, because neither one wants to be standoffish. I don't know. It's insufferable.
Fuck you. I'm helping you.
Basically. And I'm just sitting there going, you guys you just swapped positions. You just changed your mind. Anyway, we go and we eventually go to this pizza place. It's been like 15 minutes now that we've killed. We go, we sit down, we start to place an order. We get a text message from the first restaurant saying, oh, hey, your table's ready. And my mom's like, we can leave right now. We can go over there and get the other restaurant. It's like, I can see it. It's across the parking lot. Do you want to just like dip? We can go. And my dad's like, no, it's fine. Like, I mean, we're placing an order. Let's just stay here. It won't be that long. My mom was very excited to have a deep dish pizza. Now, I don't know if you know much about deep dish pizzas.
No,
you don't. Okay, I'm not.
I find
an expert.
the concept, not pizza. Let's put it that way.
I think that I agree with you. I think that I agree.
It's aggressive lasagna, not pizza.
I think I agree with you. Also, we've alienated our entire Chicago fan base. I like pan pizza. Pan pizza is my favorite. Deep dish pizza, I'm lukewarm on unless it's really good. And New York pizza, I generally can pass on. Favorite pizza is a Neapolitan. I know that there's going to be an impending issue because to make a deep dish pizza from scratch takes about 45 minutes. So we put the order in. and the waitress is like, okay, we'll just let you know. Like, I mean, with the oven, with the deep dish, it's going to take about, 45 minutes to get the pizza out here. And my mom just looks at me. The waitress is standing right there. My mom looks at me. We've been here at this parking lot for over 30 minutes. We're already late to dinner, and now it's going to be another 45 minutes to get this pizza. She looks at me and she goes, "What the fuck? What?" And I know that she's mad at me, but all I could think about is the perspective of the waitress. Because she's just giving us a friendly tip that says, oh, hey, by the way, your pizza's going to take a little while. It's a deep dish pizza. And then all she hears in response is, well, what the fuck? Like that, like, whoa, big red flag. Big red flag. Like someone's spitting in our food, right? So I look over at the waitress and I'm like, I am so sorry. She is upset at me for being late to dinner and not at you for the wait time of the pizza. I just want to be clear about that. She's upset about me, not about the pizza. And the waitress just turns like this pale white. She's like, "Oh, okay, is everything okay? Do you want more water?" And I'm like, "Everything's fine. Very sorry about that." She walks away. My mom's like, "Why are you apologizing to the waitress?" And I'm like, "Because you scared her. Because you yelled, 'What the fuck?' after you got given a wait time." Like,
why are you apologizing to the slaves?
God, I love my family so much. So much. Oh God. That's why
you had a good night.
I had a fine night, but because dinner was so delayed, because I think I even told you, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get dinner, then I gotta help my dad with something, then we'll just do the show.
Yeah.
That having dinner legit was like a 3-hour affair, and we drove 15 minutes to get there. So
Was the pizza worth it?
it was good deep dish pizza, but I would still prefer a pan or a Neapolitan. So yes, because it was a nice night, yelling excluded. No, because it caused me to have to do a lot of work late at night. You know, give and take.
Yeah, and I thought you like seriously gouged your hand in the
I
process.
should send that
Joey
picture
sends
to
me this
everybody.
picture. He's like he sends me this picture of him working on the vehicle, which I knew that's what he was doing. And then he sends me a picture of his hand totally bloodied and what looks to be like a giant gash right on like the meat of the hand, the like the thumb meat area, because there's this darker line of blood. I thought it was a giant gash where all the blood had come out, and he's giving me the fucking Terminator thumbs up too, in that. I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck? I thought you had some sort of accident while working on the car.
Yeah, I know that was mean.
Turns out it was all stage blood,
I knew what I was doing when I was sending that, and I'm
and
like,
they were from different times.
I know what I'm doing here. This is mean. Well, actually, the stage blow is from an hour before, so you know it's just the same day, but yeah, it's been a fun week. I've had a fun and eventful week. I shot a commercial for Jersey Mike's on Friday that'll probably play on Twitch in a couple months. That's exciting. I had to talk.
Did it turn out all right? Was the vibe correct in the studio? Was it real Joyzy?
So I had to talk to the vice president of marketing at Jersey Mike's over text message throughout the day, because 2 Jersey Mike's franchise owners came down to make the sandwiches for us on the spot. Okay. And we had to make sure that they were like perfect for camera.
Why wasn't it just stage sandwiches? Why was it real Jersey Mike sandwiches?
So the thing with stage food is that more often than not, stage food is like real. It's just highly altered to be inedible. Like,
yeah, we talked about it before, where there's like gloss and glaze and stuff on it. Okay.
So really, like these
but
people,
shouldn't that happen like beforehand, not like day of?
You want it to look like as fresh as possible. So that cheese got to be on point. So these people come out and they bring stuff to make 20 sandwiches. And I realized this is a problem immediately, because they brought that much stuff because they knew full well that they were going to have to remake this sandwich like 5 or 6 times in order to make it as good as possible for the people who were watching. So I basically had to send homie a text message picture of every sandwich from like 3 different angles and be like, how do you feel about this one? And he would go, the tomatoes are like not really proper on the right side. I think that there's not enough lettuce. We should probably forward face the cheese an ounce more. And then I had to then show my phone to this other man named Joey, who was the franchise owner, who is the person who was building the sandwich. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry that your marketing person is sending me this right now. But like, can you fix the cheesesteak?
Do it better.
Hey, Kay, can you just do your job better?
I like how you are, as the contractor or the intermediary between 2 people in the same business.
Yep. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm really sorry about this.
Your boss is a dick.
We did that commercial a block away from Skid Row in Los Angeles. And for those of you who don't know, Skid Row is a very infamous place in the sense that it is where there's a just a very large homeless population and like a high crime rate. So there was a bouncer that we had at the door to make sure no one got in. And then afterwards, when we were unloading, we had so much Jersey Mike's left over that I was trying to figure out the best way to like go give it to people who would appreciate the sandwiches. So we went around.
Very nice.
We went around the block.
As long as it wasn't the inedible glazed, freshly glued stuff.
It was not. We went around the block to go deliver some sandwiches and all the crafty we had, and just trying to. There's like a lot of best practices, I think, when you're trying to give homeless people food. Like, you don't just want to leave it by their stuff. You want to like ask consent. Like, you don't want to assume that people want help or something. So it was like a high anxiety experience, because I'm trying to be virtuous. We're trying to be virtuous and be like, oh, here's this stuff, you probably want it, but at the same time be like, safe about it, I guess. And what we ended up doing is we had a lot of pastries from Costco that we had as breakfast food, and there were these like just giant cheese danishes, and we end up giving them to a man who was walking by, and had a conversation with him, and he kept on talking about how excited he was to eat them, because he's like really diabetic and this is a lot of sugar, and like he loves sugar, and I'm just standing there going, did I just kill someone? Did we just commit murder by Costco patry? Am I getting fucked around with right now? Do I need to be concerned? Do I need to explain to someone that maybe they should be careful and not eat this giant amount of sugar Danish that we gave them? Anywho, so that was my weekend. I literally may have killed someone.
You would not have killed him. He would have basically killed. The diabetes would have killed him.
Diabetes.
And poor choices on his side. Well, that was still nice that you took the. I mean, you just as easily could have thrown away all that food. So it was nice that you made the effort to go and do that.
We tried. Did you do anything? Did you go feed anybody? Did you go did you just like play Deep Rock Galactic?
My house at all this week?
Did
I don't
you?
think so.
You had to. If there's a Pelican case behind you, it wasn't there before. Like, that had to get there somehow.
This giant yellow case that Joey's referring to is that I did not have to go outside of my place to get that. That was delivered directly to my door.
Damn it.
That is the production case full of all the production stuff for the Mobile Legends event, which I'll be able to talk about how that went next week, because it's Saturday, Sunday this weekend. So yeah. Looking forward to that? Question mark.
Do you feel like you've gained any more information? Do you feel like you've improved your own brain in the last week?
Joey, I lost my first game of Mobile Legends, and I've never been more mad at a mobile game in my life.
What? Why were you mad? You said you wanted to lose.
I did. The way I lost makes me really mad. Okay. So last time I talked about how I was playing these characters and I was just destroying everybody because I just click buttons. The other people don't click buttons. And I feel like some of these characters are OP. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is I'm playing on a basic account, so I only have access to, like, unranked. I think I only have access to, like, 4 heroes, and I'm still waiting to get the publisher to give me free stuff so I can actually buy a bunch of champions and try out all the champions that I will be seeing in the actual tournament, right?
Okay.
It's like I'm not gonna pay for that. Like, that's a business expense. Like, I don't want to have to do. I'm just taking away from my profits at that point in time. So I wait for the publisher to give me the free stuff so I can unlock all the champions. So the way I've been playing is I've only been basically playing 2 champions so far. And in this game, I run into this new character I hadn't played against. And this character, which I think is also relatively new to the game, she's very unique. She has 4 different weapons, and she can choose to carry 2 out of the 4 at any given time in the game. And I didn't actually get to see that effect. I actually read about it later on because I was like, what the hell is this character? All she used was the sniper rifle. She has, like, pistols, she has a rocket launcher, she has a sniper rifle and something else. All she was using was the sniper rifle. And the reason I was so mad was that first of all, it felt like it snowballed very, very quickly against me. I like the way the game is meant to be played and competitive. I was supposed to be in a 1v1, but actually I was in a 2v1. Like, so somebody else was kind of sapping the experience from my lane. But the reason I'm so mad is this character was doing insane amounts of damage from the get-go with this sniper rifle. Now, the challenge, as I get it, is there is no lock-on. So you have to just aim and try and hit the person. So there is skill to be able to land the shots. But obviously, like I pick up on this, like I get hit once by it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, okay, I got to make sure not to get hit those shots. I would dodge most of the shots and I would get like on top of the character. But once I'm on top of the character, obviously, like I'm point blank range. It's like, how do I dodge at that point in time? And this character would literally 3-shot me. Not with abilities, with her basic attack. She would 3-shot me at the start of the game. And then later on, towards the end of the game, she was almost one-shotting me. I checked one of the last time as I died, she did 89% of my HP. And I was just like, what the fuck? This cannot be balanced. What is wrong with this fucking character? There's no way it's balanced that I am getting like literally hit by 3 or 4 bullets and I'm just dead. Like, what? The concept seems so broken, and I haven't gone back to it since. I took like a day break of practicing it. I was just so mad. I was like, what the fuck? Fuck this. And then, so yeah, I haven't picked it up again. I will be buying that. I will be buying that character almost immediately. I should have the free points now. I'm going to check right now, actually, to make sure that I do. And first purchase I'm going to make is buying that character and playing it so I can see, like, the other side, because I was just so blown away at the insanity of the damage.
That's like that feels like, young Joey playing Dota too for the first time and being like, oh man, I'm so good at playing Huskar. I jump on people, I kill people, and then I walk into like a really good puck and get destroyed, and I'm like, this isn't fair. This is my new favorite hero now.
Well, I don't have it yet, but they did say, no, it is Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
They said it was going to be here Friday or Monday because apparently nobody could send it to me over the weekend. So now it's going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, when I send an email being like, hey, really need this for the tournament on Saturday so I can learn things. So, yeah, that's a little distressing. I'm not even sure if Slacks has played the game yet. We've talked about playing together, but he has yet to play with me yet.
Yeah, what does he have to? What does he have to do? What is he really doing right now? Having a kid? Bullshit.
Yeah, that's about it. Hey, you can fit in mobile games anytime. He could take care of the kid and play the mobile game at the same time.
I'm telling you,
no problem.
Mobile games and exercise. If you're playing at night, I'll play some games with you. I'll download and I'll play with you.
Okay. Nighttime, I've usually been doing morning because I'll wake up and I'll have tea and I'll play in the morning while watching VODs. I get into a schedule, play games while watching VODs at the same time or listening to VODs, and then I'll stream and actually do like my normal stuff during the afternoon, evening. But maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll switch it up and play at night. But first, I need the goddamn diamonds. It's because it's a mobile game. It's paid. Everything's paywall. The entire game is paywall. There's 150 champions or whatever, and I've got 4.
Dude, you gotta give him that sweet Skrilla. All you gotta do is give him that sweet Skrilla. I have something else. Can I ask you for some advice?
Yeah.
How many bachelor parties have you been to?
Actual bachelor parties, kind of like traditional bachelor parties, like 0.
Like 0. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Can't help you out there.
Okay.
Before Dota, I didn't have that many friends, so,
How could that be the case? I imagine you walk down the street and people gleam onto you and be like, wow, look at that man. His eyebrows are nice. And that's oh, okay. Well.
I grew into my looks, and 2, remember, I I've said this multiple times. I am an introvert,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
so
You're
I
right.
was much more quiet when I was in school and stuff like that. So
That's right. I wish you. Yeah. You did grow into those looks. I guess you're right. Wow. Huh. I've seen those old pictures. What was I
I'm
saying
gorgeous.
before I was insulting you? Um. Oh. So this weekend, I'm supposed to go. I am going to my future brother-in-law's bachelor party.
Okay.
We are renting an Airbnb up around San Luis Obispo, and we are gonna go like ride some quads and do some stuff. And the Airbnb just canceled on us today because it flooded.
Oh,
So we're trying to find a new one. And that problem aside, I'm actually more so worried about the fact that I think I am one of those people who is in the wedding party out of necessity. My pitch for the wedding was that I actually wanted to do the ceremony because one, like, come on, like
sure, yeah.
it'd be
It's true.
good. It'd be good. It'd be really good. Um, and two, then I wouldn't have to like be obligated to be a groomsman because like I am at time of recording not super close to my sister's fiance. We're like not we haven't really bonded much, which is something that we should fix, presumably. And I don't know anybody else who is going to this thing, and I know that I am going to be the odd one out on a personality front, and I'm worried that I'm gonna spend the entire weekend just trying to chameleon really hard. Um, and
Ain't
I'm
nothing wrong with being a chameleon, baby.
okay. I don't know if I'm in the right headspace to chameleon all week. I am tired. And my vacation, my long weekend that I'm taking, is I feel like I'm gonna be acting the whole time. So I'm
Mm.
interested in that, and also just generally worried about it. I'm hoping that what happens is that it's a great bonding experience. Everyone gets along great. Like I learn things. Like it's all bad. That's my optimistic side. My pessimistic side is telling me that like what I'm gonna want to do is like bring my Switch and then play video games in the corner.
So why do you have to go to this?
I think politically saying no is not an option.
Yeah, but he's probably on the other side saying, well, politically not asking him is not an option.
Well, see, now the thing is that we both do want to have a better relationship with each other, and I think that this is like a path to get there, right?
Sure, yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the immediacy is going to be awkward.
Yes. Well, the length of the time, the group dynamic, like it's all set against you.
Yes.
Like you're supposed to get to know each other. Like, you don't do it necessarily in a group of one other person's friends. That's
Yes.
unless the loner is a really charismatic or extroverted person. It's
That's not
usually
really
not going to
me.
go well. And what is the whole weekend?
Yeah, the whole
What,
week,
Friday, Saturday,
like
Sunday,
yeah, like
Saturday,
like like we're
Sunday?
leaving Friday in the middle of the day, and then we're coming back Sunday. So like
That's
to
also a very long time to
48
be
hours
exposed
plus.
to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm like excited, but also not excited at all. I know
Well, and
what's
my
gonna happen.
advice came
I
down with a cough. I really shouldn't, I don't want to expose you guys to anything that I might have.
I'll go get a rapid
That's
test.
my advice for your bachelor party.
I'll go get a rapid test and then fake the results and be like, guys.
That might be a little drastic to say I got COVID. Lie about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. The good thing is that when we talk next week, I'm gonna have a lot to talk about. The bad news
Mm.
is that I don't know if those stories are gonna be wholesome or just me embarrassing myself and then recounting it for the sake of humor.
What kind of? You said quads and stuff. Is he an outdoorsy person?
Not super outdoorsy, but like mildly extreme sportsy, like a lot of
Okay.
mountain biking, quads, like lifted trucks, stuff like that.
Mm. Okay. So not your typical
Not
group
like
dynamic.
yeah, not like hike camp in the woods. More like let's get some ATVs. Let's go mountain
Yes.
biking. Let's go.
Okay, that was actually my initial when I changed high school after my parents divorced freshman sophomore year. Sophomore year, that was the group of friends that I initially made. Was the group of like redneck, you know, motocross, dirt bikes, lifted trucks. Though that group of people was the initial group of friends that I had. They were super nice people, but not like, they were open. Like, that's part of the reason I was in their friend group was because they were open enough to letting in somebody who was very clearly not a part. Like, I was wearing, I had a preppy prep. I had the prep look going on,
Mm-hmm.
So I had an actual like collared shirt with like an undershirt on and stuff like that. So
Wow.
I didn't even look the part of like them who were wearing like fox hoodies and stuff like that. But they were nice people and they were nice enough to like let me into their friend group. Somebody who was like new to school. So
That's the
nice
best.
people, but not my dynamic.
That's the best way to describe this group of people. I am
Mm.
confident that I am the only person who does not own a Fox hoodie, or ever has. That's going to be very specific to a very specific subset of people like us from America, I think, who are going to understand what
Yeah.
I mean by that. But that might be the best way to describe it.
Yeah. They're like a motorbike company or something. I don't even know.
I think so. Um, so that's going to happen. That's also why I had to change the brakes on a bunch of stuff and do my oil and all that shit. But
You had to stock up on some manliness.
yeah, I had to after that I could talk to them about it. Be like, yeah, well, I went and I changed my rotors before the trip.
Changed
I got
brakes
some
the other day.
I got some new ones did it myself. They're slotted. Want to make sure that did that break in with the brakes super awesome carbon fiber.
There you go. There's your opening conversation right there. You will get them.
They're gonna
You're in. That's your in.
The amount of country music I'm gonna be subjected to is honestly might be the worst part.
Ugh.
That's why I wanted. That's why I want to drive also because I can just play whatever I want on the radio.
Well, speaking of music, we are. I have determined that we're going to do a media segment at the end of our podcast now, where we
Okay.
share media with each other to
Okay.
talk and listen about. But
Okay.
we
Okay.
should probably talk about Dota before that.
I was gonna ask. I was gonna because I
Yeah.
know I actually don't have a ton of time, but I know that I just spent 40 minutes talking about stuff that almost no one cares about. So sorry to everybody for. I think that people just actually listen to a therapy session. So thank you and sorry. I know that there was a balance change and a hot fix, and I know that TNC released their roster.
Yeah, I actually didn't really look into that TNC thing because I just figure it's TI stuff. It's all the normal post TI stuff. Like, sure, TNC has had some of those players for a long time, but like, yeah, I'm not really thinking about that. That just in my head goes into the post TI stuff.
I
Even though
think
it's happening before TI, it is part of a post TI discussion.
TNC is not leaving Dota, I don't think. Like that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
news. They will almost certainly pick up a new roster, and I wouldn't even be surprised if one of the people who got released came back in that new roster, depending on who shuffles, who reformats, what happens, right?
Yeah, that's the thing is that like I feel like none of these teams can pick up a roster right now unless they have in mind they have a goal of picking up a roster a la like Tundra, right? A roster that they think is going to actually keep playing next year under the same five people, and that they're going to grow and get better. Because right now, like, who the hell knows? Like, there's going to be a bunch of free agents post TI. There always is. So you can't really formulate your five man without knowing who's available in the first place.
What's interesting about that, I think, is that I um I'm surprised that they didn't like try and keep anybody like a Raven or someone. It's just like someone to stream under the TNC banner. I guess maybe that's not like in their business plan, right? But the idea that they're not affiliated makes sense if you think about it from the standpoint that they would have to be paying salaries for these people for an undisclosed amount of time until teams reshuffle, right? There's a world where like they would be paying September, October, November, at least 3 months, a quarter of the year salary to do a contract extension on a team that is never going to play another competitive match in those 3 months, right? So
Yeah, and what if we DPC doesn't start again until 2022?
yeah,
Right?
then it's
What
4 months,
if
then it's
Valve's
5 months.
like, we have to wait until mid-January, February, or something like that to start things up. So, yeah, makes sense.
So it makes sense from a business perspective. I'm surprised that we didn't see like someone kept on as like a streamer, but I guess I don't. I guess that's like Liquid recently released 2 people from their Rainbow Six roster that's been like doing what they've been doing well, and they're like kind of legacy players at this point. And I think that the idea for some of these teams when people are like moving on or having lull periods is that you want to keep them under your banner just for streaming contracts, just for numbers,
Sure.
just for that stuff. So. That was my first thought. It was weird to see like a full departure, but they'll be back in January. What else do you got? The patch? What were you gonna say about Dota?
Patch is whatever. I personally think there still needs to be another patch before TI. So I'm still not fully prepared. The biggest controversy being that they released Dawnbreaker into Captain's mode, which I said absolutely no goddamn way are they going to put Dawnbreaker into Captain's mode before TI. If they were going to do so, they would have done so at the start of the patch, so they could have gotten professional games and information from those professional games, a la ESL and Dota Pit, which just concluded, and they chose to do it after those. So you're going to have 0 games, 0 professional, like high-level professional matches. Sure, maybe there's some online tournaments or whatever they're going to go on before then, but TI-level teams, you will not see them with that hero in their hands, and so you will not be able to see what the hero is capable at the highest level. And they're literally just going to try and balance it based off of pub information. Because obviously there's going to be a lot of people practicing Dawnbreaker now, right? Most people probably have not touched the hero. Like, I know most pro players actively do not touch many of these new heroes until they come into Captain's mode because it's just like the game's just different, right? When they even despise the hero being in the game in general because the hero is just, it brings something new to Dota, and it effectively makes that practice that they're getting in that pub somewhat useless, right? So now that it is there, there are going to be a lot of them practicing it and stuff like that. But it's, I still don't think that it's the same. I'm very surprised that they were willing. I'm very surprised that they also were not willing to nerf the hero super hard as a result. I was like, well, if you're going to put it in, don't you just like nerf the hell out of it just in case? Just so it doesn't
like when you're spraying for cockroaches, it's like, oh, let me go ahead and just lay some poison around just to make sure that nothing spawns, right? That's what because what is the worst case scenario here? The worst case scenario is that this hero needs to be banned by the team not getting first pick.
Yeah.
And it like the worst case scenario it is an auto ban throughout the tournament.
When there's only 2 bans that you have anyway. So, yeah. It would be a buff to first pick, which second pick is much preferred right now. So, in one way, it might actually be a bonus to offset the clear second pick advantage that is currently in Dota. Another thing that they haven't messed with yet, despite, I think, what has been, overwhelming feedback that second pick is kind of broken, but we'll see what happens at TI. Right now it's still preferred. I'm pretty sure Dota Pit even still had the information that second pick was being preferred by all the teams. I think Team Spirit had like second pick in the final 3 games that they played in the finals, which we should talk about. Dota Pit did go on. ESL happened. Tundra victorious, super cool. LGD got second. This time around, a similar group of teams, not quite as prestigious, but did have Tundra, LGD, Spirit, and that was actually your top three. T1 included actually would be top four. Those were your top four teams, with Spirit making an insane run. Really amazing stuff. Like I think that Team Spirit rather is like a really good team. But it's very obvious that it's experience that they're lacking.
Hmm.
They just don't know how to take advantage of some of the advantages that they build up. They don't know how to be able to end games at times. So I'm relatively skeptical, and I was quite a skeptic of their run through the lower bracket at this tournament. But they just managed to make things work. I thought they were going to lose to Fnatic. I thought Fnatic was going to be able to put up a better fight. They didn't. Team Spirit went on to beat T1 and Tundra. And they even took a game off of LGD in the finals. So that was probably the biggest story. Was just their run, Team Spirit's incredible run. LGD this time around managed to take the finals because they wasn't up against Tundra, but they did beat Tundra 2-0 in the upper bracket, so they kind of, in a way, got redemption, even if it wasn't a best of five. They still got redemption against that, which continues the narrative that LGD is going to be the favorite team going into TI, because we now know that Nothing to Say is going to actually be there. That was announced today. So there were having visa issues and all that with Nothing to Say. They couldn't get him for some of these tournaments before TI, but it turns out they will actually be there for TI itself, which makes LGD's, I mean, they're just the automatic favorites. They are the team to beat.
I don't know. I mean, if you look at the teams that took games off LGD and Team Spirit, Undying did. They took a map off both of them. So
They did. That's probably the other story, is that we talked about how the fact that Undying had been gatekept out of international tournaments, and this would be their first chance to be able to dip their toe into that water before jumping into the pool that is TI. Very deep end pool at that.
what a
And
bracket for them, dude. What a
oh, yeah, unfortunate, because they end up going against LGD in the very first round, the upper bracket. They take a game off of LGD, the first game, I
game.
believe. Yeah. And then they ended up going two more games. Both went past 40 minutes. In fact, one of them was almost an hour long. And they ended up losing. And then they dropped down. They go up against Team Spirit. Much more reasonable competition. But that was before Team Spirit made their lower bracket run, beating Fnatic, T1, and Tundra. So, you were like, okay, I could see these teams actually being quite even. This is like, at first I was like, this is a litmus test for whether or not Undying can be top eight, because I think they one of these teams is getting top eight in my mind anyway for TI. Which one is it going to be? And Team Spirit, when I'm like, oh, looks like Team Spirit, they continue to show they're pretty good. Undying definitely need to get better. I wasn't going to hold too many things against them. Just two matches. I don't think it says a whole lot. But then Team Spirit went on this crazy run, and it was like, okay, now you look back at that and be like, damn, Team Spirit's really good.
Yeah. I mean, Dota was exciting because I think all these teams have a stake to being important. So
Yeah.
this
SE
is
teams continue to disappoint. That was probably the third story of Dota Pit. SG and Thunder Predator both probably should have gone out in the first round, but they ended up meeting against each other. So SG beat Thunder Predator, which at ESL was the storyline that Thunder Predator was the best of the three, which in my mind, I just can't, I don't jive with. I think that intra-regional play only says so much. Take Aster Alliance. Like, there's so many examples of this. Just because you are good within your region does not necessarily mean that you are the best team in that group. It's all about how you perform on these actual lands against international competition. For me, Beast Coast is the number one SA team until proven otherwise. Until proven at TI otherwise. That argument is still there for me.
I don't know, man. I think Tavo's gonna go beast mode at TI.
Could be. I mean, SG just seemed to be getting better and better. The fact that they qualified in first place was a bit of a surprise, considering how poorly they had done in the upper division of the second season. And then they also took a game off of T1. which T1 looked a little bit worse this time around, but they're still a good team to be able to prove yourself against. So being able to take even a game against them says a decent amount. So yeah, I think all in all, those are kind of the Dota Pit storylines. ESL was probably it was a better tournament. I think it was a better finals and stuff like that.
Now we wait.
Yeah, now we're waiting because LGD stomped the shit out of Spirit. They may have taken the first game, but it felt like after that it wasn't that close at all.
When are we going to get TI announcements and invites? I want to know who's going to the international. It's so close. October? It's less than a month away.
True.
October 7th.
True.
Do you know what October 7th is? That's 3 weeks from Thursday.
Yeah. I heard talent invites are supposed to go out sometime really soon, so I'm sure it'll go out right after we put out this podcast.
Great. Well, I'm excited to... I'll bring some beer to cry into for next week when you don't get invited. We can just have like a pity podcast together.
True. It would be very sad. But then I'll be going to TI and Liquid's Dime. I'll negotiate something.
Do it. You want to?
Yeah. I think that's it for Dota. I'm not sure if there's anything else really. To be honest, I haven't been playing much Dota because the matchmaking experience is awful. I'll just leave it at that. Oh, actually, no. One more thing about Dota Pit. Dota Pit only had 5 talent. That was something that bothered me.
Did
$275,000 prize pool. 5 talent. ESL had $400,000 prize pool. They had like 10 talent involved in total, like probably 8 different talent that were in the studio at some point in time. They hired their observers and stuff like that. Like the comparison of 125,000's difference in prize pool and the broadcast is like so massive, and I was not okay with that. It's they had the host Nomad, 2 panel members, 1437 and Lizard, and they just had him working full time, and then they also had B Cop and Mofara working full time as a casting duo and casted every single game. Hey, I don't.
That's a lot of games.
I don't agree with that. Yeah, that is a lot of games. I don't agree with that on a level of I don't agree with that on like a broadcast. Like if I was in charge of things, you're getting remote. Like hire some other casters at least, right, to give yourself some variety. From a broadcast perspective, I was in charge of that broadcast. I would make sure there's at least 2 pairings, right? And
they did 36 games.
I don't agree with that from a casting perspective either, because like I understand like these guys are still trying to like establish themselves and stuff like that, but I just think it's bad for you to say yes to doing like, yeah, it's a great opportunity. Like you're going to get lots and lots of eyes on your product because you're doing so many games, and you're probably going to get the sympathy points of like, oh, these guys, they did so many games. Like, oh, hats off to them. They did a great job doing so many, but they also put themselves in that position. So I personally was like a little bit miffed at that, because like that just as easily could have been more work for, you know, a similar level of casters. You know?
36 games over 5 days is like 7 games a day at least.
Yeah. I think that you're just like, you're handicapping yourself because you're not naturally going to put out a worse product doing that much in a row.
That's right? So much Dota. Casting 7 games. When's the last time you casted 7 games in a day? Years?
Yeah, it's definitely been a while. I've definitely done like 7 games in like say like panel and casting, but casting back to back, never. I mean, not never, but like a long time ago.
I mean, you need a lot of tea. You need a lot of honey for that voice.
Yeah. So you're naturally just going to be put forward like a lesser product. So you're not giving yourself any, and then you're also like just limiting jobs for other people as well. So less blame on the casters. You take what you can get when you're on the grind up, but I wasn't really happy with Dota Pit doing that in general. I just think it's a bad practice. And
I'm
when
just
you
saying,
have a prize pool like that, like these tournament organizers are shelling out the money to attract the teams. Make them shell out the money to attract the talent as well. Like if they're going to put I could put $1 million in and get all the best teams, and I could put $1,000 in to get the worst, broadcast. It's like you got to make sure it's even at some point.
is there any realistic difference, like from a business perspective? Is there any realistic difference from taking this tournament, which has a $275,000 prize pool, and just cutting $25,000 off and having it a $250,000 prize pool, and then having $25,000 to spend on broadcast talent? Does that change anything to get rid of $25,000 at that point for the teams?
I think viewership wise, I don't think it makes much of a difference. So I can understand why tournament organizers choose to handicap the broadcast, because ultimately Dota viewership has shown that they are there for the teams and the game itself, not for the people surrounding the game. And you guys, some of you guys are going to respond to us and like, no, I only tuned if certain casters. You guys are the minority. I promise you. Like, I've looked over the numbers time and time again. Game and team specifically matter more than any talent by like 1,000, 10,000%. So that it makes sense. But I still think you could literally just pay the same amount and just split it up, right? You could literally just be like, hey, you're only going to do 2 best of 3s, and we're going to have the other 2 best of 3s done by this other remote duo, right? It's not like ESL where they're bringing people in studio, so you're limited to the talent that you have at hand. You could literally just be like, I'm only going to give you half the money. Instead of having you has 4 best of 3s in a day, I'm going to give you 2 best of 3s and 2 to somebody else. It's like it's better all the way around. So I was kind of irritated seeing that. I was just like, why? It just doesn't make sense to me from either side of the table. I mean, it makes sense when you're trying to get trying to climb up the ladder and trying to make the most amount of money you can, but ecosystem wise, it's not great.
There's one person listening right now who's going, oh, Cap's ego just wants to get paid for more work. He's mad that they didn't hire him.
They didn't hire me.
Why did they get B Cop? Oh my God, he's so greedy. I don't know what voice that is.
That's a good voice.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, Dota Pit, I haven't worked for Dota Pit in like years, so I'm not expecting to be the person getting contacted, and I don't think they would. Honest to God, I don't think that we would be able to come to agreement on rates anyway. But it is somebody who is willing. Somebody is going to be able to work for that amount,
Yeah.
So.
Well, now that you got all that out, you feel good. You feel better. You feel good. Feel like
I got my mini rant of the week down.
I feel good too. You said you wanted to leave us with a media recommendation, which we're gonna try and consistently do. So I just wanted to know what you had in mind for that, because I'm gonna have to go make a note of it and add something to my backlog so that I can go do some listening or watching or viewing or what have you.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm springing this on you, so you don't have to. You don't have to give any recommendations. But it just so happened last time when we closed out the show that we gave each other some recommendations. We were talking about music and stuff like that. And I was like, that was a good bit. So I figured we should do that. I actually made an effort, and I did listen to the Halsey album that you suggested. You said it was a banger.
And you're going to tell me, wow, Joey, we may have slightly different tastes, but like what I'm hoping you say is, you're right, there were some tracks on there that are pretty fire.
You're right, Joey. There was some tracks on there that were pretty fire. It was a good album. I enjoyed the album quite a bit. I just liked making you sweat a bit. I will say that I was not actually as big of a fan of the radio hit song, I'm Not a Woman, I'm a God. I wasn't actually as big of a fan. That was probably like maybe my 3rd favorite song on the list, but the Tradition, the opening song, Easier Than Lying, and those were probably my 2 favorite to listen to. So it started off strong. Girl is a Gun, I think, was the worst song in the album. It was like a cacophony of fucking noises that just made me angry. I was
That
just like, what is all this noise that is happening right now? Stop it.
I lift
Cut down the noise by like half.
I lift weights. Listen to that song. It's pretty good for that. It's like very intense.
Yeah, that bothered me. Easier Than Lying gave me like Blondie vibes, I think. So I really like Blondie. So I appreciated that. Whispers stood out to me because it got me into an entire rabbit hole, because Whispers is the name of the song, and she does whisper in the song. And it got me down this entire rabbit hole because I've noticed that there's been this rise of whispering, most prominently in hip hop,
Yeah.
because, well, it's the only medium that you could usually do whispering, right? It's the you can't whisper sing, but you can do whisper spoken word, which is what rapping is, right? So, whisper rapping has made like some. It just came up in 2018 with just like this weird, like 21 Savage notoriously had this whisper rapping bit that fucking threw me for a loop when he first did it. It's actually called ASMR rapping now, because the rise of ASMR on Twitch and stuff like that has
Dude,
probably influenced hip hop.
that's some good SEO. That's some good SEO. That's what you want to call it. Why does rapping have all the best styles? You can whisper, you can mumble, you can scream, you could like.
Yes, yeah, you can do all of that. So, I went down this rabbit hole of like whisper rapping in general. And like, so most notable, people probably know like 21 Savage had like a song with Metro Boomin where he first popped up doing some whispering, and then he did a follow-up song that he actually called ASMR because of the hit of the previous song, where he does some whisper rapping. Drake does a little bit of whisper rapping as well in what's that song? Nonstop. And I was like, how long has this been a thing? And apparently it's it's been on the come up since like 2018. Again, ASMR and Twitch and stuff like that is sort of like influenced hip hop, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually been around for a little bit.
Doesn't Vanilla Ice whisper an ice ice baby?
Joey, you ruined it. I was gonna
What?
ask you what you thought the OG whisper hip hop song was, and that it is exactly that.
Oh,
Vanilla Ice Ice baby.
yeah.
That's like the OG whisper.
I
in
can
hip-hop.
I can only think about that. And then doesn't Ying Yang Twins have a song called the Whisper Song?
They do. They have the whisper songs. That is indeed where they pretty much whisper through the entire song. That was like early 2010s or something like that. So that was kind of like a different time. But I did find out like this one guy called Young Sh. That's actually his name.
Okay, I'm into this.
He recorded a song that was like the first drill is a type of hip hop, a type of rap specifically, and he does a song over a drill beat called Silent But Violent. And he actually does whisper in the song. And the interesting part about this song, Silent But Violent, is that it wasn't like an intentional choice per se. It's because he was in jail at the time he recorded this song, and he was doing it with a smuggled microphone. And he recorded this song, and he had to whisper to make sure that his smuggled microphone would not get found. And that's like one of the whisper songs of this generation. I thought that was super funny.
If you had to smuggle anything into a prison, I feel like a microphone wouldn't be one of my top 5 choices. But like, I guess if your whole thing is wanting to rap, it's really not that outlandish.
Yeah, a number of rap artists have released albums from jail, and that's mostly because they have been able to smuggle. I mean, now like you hear about smuggling phones in all the time, right? You get a new enough phone that has pretty good recording.
Yeah.
You just soundproofed your cell as much as possible, and you'll probably be able to get something passable into a song. So yeah, people releasing rappers releasing albums from jail, relatively common nowadays.
Huh. Shows what I know. I'm like mildly to severely ignorant on modern rap. So
Yeah, that's hip hop has definitely been my thing for probably the last decade, which leads me to my recommendation. I
Okay.
listened to Halsey. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm going to put any of those songs in a playlist, but I did enjoy, particularly the tradition, which is the opening song, and I think that actually transitions nicely into my recommendation of Little Sims. She is a female hip hop artist who just put out an album called Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. It was kind of overshadowed by the fact that Drake and Kanye put out their albums, which we talked about
It's
last
bad
week.
marketing.
And yeah, a little bit, but also in a way it ended up being good because Kanye's album was, I think, it was good-ish. Drake's album less so, and her album is a banger. And I would highly recommend anybody to try out the very first song
Whew.
because I think the opening
19
number
tracks? Oh, boy. That's going to be a long gym
it
session.
it is long. It is long, and I will say you don't need to listen to all of it, but I would say the first 6 to 9 songs I think are pretty worth. There's some skits in there, so that's also why it's 19. But even if you don't have to commit to all of that. Just listen to the very first number called Introvert. It's probably one of the most hype songs that have opened an album since Brockhampton's Saturation 3 for me, which I think that song's called Bleach. It just starts out with this like heavy banger that immediately gets your blood pumping. Her style is very different from Brockhampton's. This whole album is very orchestral.
Uh-huh.
So like a lot of big numbers in there. And Introvert especially is that. So if you like uh any sort of classical music, big drums, that kind of sound, I think you will like this, even if you're not necessarily a fan of hip hop. So I would highly recommend listen to that, and that'll be good barometer whether or not you want to listen to the rest of the album. I think.
Okay. I'm going to go. I will listen to it at my gym session tonight, and I'll report back.
Yeah, Introvert is great. Is a great gym song. I listened. That one was probably one of my favorite. I Love You, I Hate You has a really good beat. She does a great job with that. She's a smart rapper. She has like she tells a good story. She has like some pretty fire lines all around. Big fan. Yeah,
I
that is my media recommendation for the week.
Great. Well, then I'm going to have to figure out something for next week,
Yeah.
but I'll get
I
there.
figure one or both of us can offer a recommendation, but because you're a consummate media consumer, and I just have a shit ton of time on my hands. So
That's great. That's great because I love pushing things that I like on other people. It's one of my favorite things. Restaurants, movies, not really movies.
so far,
TV.
your recommendations have been, I think, all solid. I had Jenny's ice cream. That was great. I listened to the Halsey album. I agreed it was good. It was very good. I don't remember what else you recommended.
Once I finish this anime binge, I'll see if there's anything that you haven't. That's my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, we're doing a show. It's fine. Um, everything is. I forgot completely what I was saying. I completely.
Totally derailed you.
Yeah, I had a train that was trying to get to a station to park, but. Whew.
I am doing something next week that I can't quite talk about just yet, but BTS did release a teaser at BTS Dota 2, and I'll be talking about that more in depth next week. But it's something that I'm super excited for, and I'm consuming a bunch of just content in general about TI right now. That is kind of getting me in the mood for TI. I'm pretty excited, so I'll talk about that as well next week.
Cool. Well, until then, I'm gonna go find out what my mom wants.